Hello friends, I am Prashant. You are watching Educational Stuff. Today we will be discussing the fourth article of Hindu editorial page. Today is 6th June 2020. If you want to see the rest of the articles, you can see it from the description or from the eye icon. This particular article focuses on the pharmaceutical shift. There should be a alternate track for pharmaceutical innovators. Let's get into this article. Could the rules and practices organizing in healthcare around the world have been better situated to this COVID-19 outbreak? Consider the Health Impact Fund as a plausible institution reform of the current regime for developing, marketing new pharmaceuticals. Medicines are among humanitarian greatest achievements. The global market of pharmaceuticals is currently around worth of 110 lakh crore rupees annually and 1.7% of gross world product. Roughly 55% of global pharmaceutical spending and 60 lakh crore rupees is for brand name products which are typically under patent. Commercial pharmaceutical research and development efforts are encouraged and rewarded through the earnings that innovators derive from the scale of their branded products. These earnings largely depend on 20-year product patents they will be entitled to obtain the World Trade Organization member states. Such patents give them the temporary monopoly, enabling them to sell their new products without competition at a price far above the manufacturer and distribution cost, while still maintaining a substantial sale volumes. In the United States, thousand-folds marks up over the production costs are not atypical. In India, the profit-maximizing monopoly price of a new medicine is much lower, but similarly unaffordable for the most citizens. To be sure, before such huge markups can yield any profits, commercial pharmaceutical innovators must first cover their large R&D costs, currently around 14 lakh crore a year, including the cost of clinical trials needed to demonstrate safety and efficacy, the cost capital tied up during the long development process, and cost of any research effort that failed somewhere along the way. There are concerns regarding research and development. While they should evidently continue funding pharmaceutical R&D, it is worth asking whether our current way of doing is so optimal. There are three main concerns. First, innovators motivated by the prospect of large markup tends to neglect disease suffered mainly by the poor people who cannot afford expensive medicine. The 20 World Health Organization listed neglected tropical diseases together afflict their over 1 billion people but attract only 0.35% of pharmaceutical industry's R&D. Merely over 0.12% of R&D spending to devoted to tuberculosis and malaria, which kill 1.7 lakh people every year. The second point is that thanks to the large number of affluent or well-insured patients, the profit maximizing price of a new medicine tends to quite high. Consequently, most people cannot afford advanced medicines that are still under patent. This is especially vexing because manufacturing costs are generally quite low. Third, the rewards for developing providing pharmaceutical products are poorly correlated with therapeutic values. Firms earn billions by developing duplicate drugs that add title or little to a pharmaceutical toolbox, and billions more by cleverly marketing their drugs from patients who will not be benefit. To address these problems, the propose a complement and present regime the Health Impact Fund as an alternative track on which the pharmaceutical innovator may choose to be rewarded. A new medicine registered with the fund would have to be sold at or below the cost of manufacture or distribution, but would earn 10 annual reward payments based on the health gain achieved. On funding, the fund could start with a little of 20,000 crore per annum and more than attract 10 to 12 medicines, which one entering, one existing in the typical year. Registered products would be then earn around 17,000 to 20,000 crore on an average during the first 10 years. Of course, some would earn the other having the greater therapeutic value or benefiting more people. Long-term fund or funds might come from willing government contributing to proportions to the gross national income or from the international tax, perhaps a greenhouse gas emissions or speculative financial transactions. Non-contributing affluent countries would forego the benefits. The pricing constraint on registered products would not be applied to them. This gives innovators more reason to register and affluent countries a reason to join. The fund would get pharmaceutical firms interested in certain R&D projects that are unprofitable under the current regime, especially ones expected to produce large health gains among mostly poor people. Such projects would predominantly address communicable diseases. With the fund in place, there would be a much deeper and broader knowledge about such diseases, a richer arsenal of effective interventions, and greater capacities for developing additional, more targeted quick response quickly. The fund would make an important difference also by rewarding for health outcomes rather than sales. For achieving health gains with their products, innovators need new strategies. They need to deliberately or holistically about how the drug can work in the context or the synergy with other factors relevant to treatment outcomes. Think about therapies and diagnosis together in order to identify and reach the patients who can benefit most. Monitor results in real time to recognize and address possible impediments to uptake or therapeutic success. Ensure that high value patients have affordable access to drugs and properly instructed and motivated to make optimal use with its drug still in the prime condition. A reward mechanism oriented towards health gains rather than high markup sales would lead to sustainable research and marketing system. There should be issue at a stake risk. Participation of commercial pharmaceutical firms is crucial for tackling global pandemics. They are best suited to develop and scale up the provisions of new activities, new vaccines and medications very fast. At present, such firms do, however, face discouraging business risk from the government, which may as somehow use compulsory licenses to divest of them for their monopoly rewards. Health Impacts Fund registration would remove this risk, as states would have no reason to interfere with innovators whose profit lies in giving real and rapid cost at access to their new products all who may be needed to. Neither is this focus on results which the Health Impact Fund would encourage in innovators more important than to domain of communicable diseases. Collaborating with the new national health systems, international agencies and NGOs such as a firm would seek to build a strong public health strategy around its product. Its highest goal would be to complete eradication. If it succeeds in the year, it can enjoy the world's gratitude and collect their additional handsome reward payment for investment in their other research projects. Applying this point to the new disease such as COVID-19 is complicated by the fact that we lack here a well-established baseline representing the harm the disease would have done in the absence of new medicine to be assessed. Still, despite the roughness of such a model baseline, the fund would give innovators the right incentives. It would guide them to ask not how can we develop an effective product and achieve high scales at high markups, but rather how can they develop an effective product and they deploy it so that it help reduce overall disease burdens as effectively as possible. The pandemic should make up a stop and think which of these two questions should be guiding our pharmaceutical investors. As a workable idea, a health impact fund can become an alternative track to pharmaceutical innovators. This is regarding a right time to shift pharma gears. As a workable idea, a health impact fund can become an alternative track for pharmaceutical innovators. This is the end of the article discussion of today's Hindu editorial. If you want to see the rest of the articles, you can see it from the description or the eye icon. Thank you for joining me. Before I conclude, I request you all to subscribe to my channel for latest further updates. Have a great day. Goodbye.